Cordial greetings to you, Tayo, and of course, our viewers joining us from different parts of the world. Good to be on the show. Still an action-packed world of sports. I'm following what's going on in the Europa League. I'm sure we're going to have some fun talking sports tonight, Tayo.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. Unlike yesterday when we started the show on not very happy notes because of what happened to the Flamingos. This time around, Austin, we're starting the show with good news coming from Egypt, Cairo to be precise, where our powerlifters once again are doing what they know how to do best.
All day, every day, whenever these powerlifters, get a chance to represent the country, Tayo, they just don't win. They break records, and for us at Channel Sports, we love them. Special sports is our priority.
True.
When we have an opportunity to, talk about them, we just don't talk about them. We praise them, we encourage them. And that's our own way of promoting inclusion and giving support to special sports development in the country.
Your Sports on Sports is all about inclusivity, and that's why we follow special sports a lot in the studios here at Channels Television in Lagos. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio as well, so you're going to be seeing my guest right about now. Bolu Omoni is in the building as well. So Bolu, it's great to have you always on a Thursday evening.
Good to be again on this, should I say chilly Thursday evening.
Very chilly
a rainy Thursday evening, and like you rightly said, not so good day for Nigerian sports yesterday.
Yeah.
The Flamingos, they tried their best, but fortunately they couldn't go for that. But when I saw the run and stuff like that, like anytime we're talking about para sports, like Austin rightly said, we don't always ask, are we going to win? We are talking about Nigeria. It's always, what record are we breaking today?
Right.
Are we doing the personal record? Are we doing Africa? Are we doing the world record?
Yeah.
Those are the questions we ask for these guys, and they never disappoint. At every tournament, there's always something to fight. And in the Champions League yesterday, seeing 26 goals in one night. Drama at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, drama at the Vanda Metropolitano. That's why many just fall in love with the UEFA Champions League. And of course, the World Cup is knocking at the door. Unfortunately, Austin, block your ears. Nigeria will not be there.
Fortunately, no Nigeria. Austin. Thankfully, I wasn't the one that said that this time around, Austin.
I know, and guys, let's just try it. It's a sweet temptation that we cannot resist, because when we talk about the World Cup, that comes in. But let's move on. Nigeria will not be there. We're still going to have the World Cup. Tayo, let's get on with, I guess, what's going on at the African Open Championships, talking about the powerlifting championship.
Right, that's what we're starting off the show from. Like I said at the start, it's great news for Nigeria. That's because Roland Ezuruike struck gold for Nigeria. That's the pictures are coming from you, to you right there from Cairo. He struck gold at the African Open Powerlifting Championships in Cairo after lifting 172 kg to place first, while also breaking the legend world record and African record. So that's like a 3-in-1 right there. It's one gold, it's broken the legend world and African record. And there you go right there. Roland Ezuruike is the man once again doing Nigeria proud when it comes to powerlifting. Bolu, I mean, you're very familiar with this guy.
Well, okay, let me start from the worries. One of the worries for me in the para sports for Nigeria is next generation. I hope we have people who take over from this man, because Roland is over for, I think it's about 45 or 46, and he's still doing this. It's a thing when you see people in their 25s or mid-20s breaking records. It's not a norm when you see people in their 40s doing just this. And like you rightly said, they broke the African record, broke the world record. And when people tell you, okay, he can win this on one-off, no, he has won the Commonwealth Games, he has won the African Games, he has won Olympic gold medals. Now it's come to the Para-African Championship and still won gold medals breaking records. It just shows one thing, consistency.
Right.
When you see athletes in football, for example, when people talk about Ronaldo and Modric at 37 still doing the right, and everyone's always going, man, it's amazing. Now look at someone over 40 still breaking records. I think these guys need to be celebrated, but I hope we are planning for life after this man, because no matter how old they get, they will step down someday.
Eventually, that's a great point there, Austin, that's been raised by Bolu. I mean, it's great to celebrate Roland, what he's doing at this age, but the fact of the matter is a lot of these powerlifters are getting on the beats now when it comes to their age, and that's why the succession planning comes into play. But to be fair to the Nigeria Powerlifting Federation, we've seen some young weightlifters, powerlifters coming up as well. We saw some of them at the Commonwealth Games, which you covered extensively for Channel Sports.
You know, Tayo, I think with powerlifting, the older they get, the better they become. I just don't know because Yakubu Adeshokon, I'm sure you guys remember him. He's still powering on strong. Lucy Ejike is there. Folashade Oluwafemi Ayo went to the Commonwealth Games, smashed the record, you know. And I've been covering these guys for over a decade, you know, and they're still relevant. Even Roland isn't new to the sport. So it's very important that we find a succession plan for these guys. But then again, I'm not quick to send them out of the way because this is one way they stay happy, you know, despite their condition. You know, most of them are breadwinners in their family, you know, and this is just powerlifting that keeps them going. But it's very, very important that we get new persons on board, you know, that can, you know, continue where these guys will stop. But Bolo has brought up a good point in terms of succession plan. I want to call on the federation to ensure that these guys stay clean. I do not like it when they break records and then months or a year later, we get that heartbreaking statement from the IPC saying that one Nigerian is on provisional ban. You know, so let's ensure that we keep the education going so that people will respect us, that we're winning with integrity and we're doing the sport in a clean way.
All right, you're spot on, Austin, with that, what you've just said there now. So congratulations once again to Roland Ezuruike, winning gold for Nigeria at the African Powerlifting Championships going on in Cairo, Egypt. We need to get on with the show now. Let's talk about the World Cup. Like Bolu said a few minutes ago, it's really knocking on our doors right now because it's 24 days to go to the World Cup, which is going to go down in Qatar, just like I said, in 24 days. And what we're going to talk about right now is the fact that Qatar have decided to scrap pre-arrival COVID tests for the fans, you know, who want to come and enjoy the feast of football. And I think this is an amazing situation for fans generally because just a couple of weeks ago, they actually announced that there was going to be no need for a COVID vaccination card as well, to trying to make it as open as possible for fans to come to the country. I
think what things like this are done as well is ease entry into Qatar. I remember, like you rightly said, when they talked about, okay, the vaccination is not 100% necessity anymore, then people were like, okay. Before then, the news coming from Qatar has been, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here and there. People are trying to back out. Well, I don't have to go, I can watch on TV. Then when they talk of, okay, well, no vaccination, you can still come in, started, a few people are changing their mind. Then now with the no COVID test when you get into the country and everything, now they want people to come because they spent, I think this is the World Cup with the highest money, building new stadiums and everything. They may not make their money back because those facilities will definitely be for the country, but they need to make money. And you cannot make money without fans attending this event. So they are doing everything they can to ease off some protocols, to ease off some rules. Luckily, COVID is not as bad as it was back in some 2 years ago. Things are easier now. People are working without masks. You don't even need vaccination and all this. So I like that they are easing things off. It only means one thing. More fans are trooping into Qatar. If A and B said they are not going, believe me, X and Y would decide to go to Qatar.
You're spot on. Austin, I think Bolo has said it all. Over 1 million fans are expected in Qatar for the World Cup. And with these relaxed measures in terms of COVID, of course, we should have a full house.
We should, you know, Ty, I remember covering the World Cup in 2014. When I got into Sao Paulo in Brazil, I said the entire world was in Brazil. Then I went to Russia in 2018, and I said the universe converged in Russia. So I wonder what it's going to look like in Qatar, and I'm sure officials of the World Cup in Qatar, they went to look at those figures, and they were like, wow. For instance, the economy of Russia tripled right after the World Cup. Same with Brazil. So they will be saying that, look, we cannot be our own hindrance. We cannot be our own obstacle. Let's open the doors. Let people come in. But let's also remind the world that in December 2019, the COVID-19 pandemic broke. And statistics have it that over 6 million people all over the world died. So if you're going to Qatar, you must have that sense of responsibility. You must have safety always at the back of your mind. Yes, they've thrown the doors open. They've said no COVID test required. But also know that people will be coming together. So people should also have that safety at the back of their mind. So everybody should just stay safe right there at the World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah, your spot on Austin. I mean, the COVID pandemic at the heights of it was very devastating. Like you've said, 6 million people unfortunately losing their lives. Very, very sad indeed. And that's why going forward, we have to continue to be accountable. We have to continue to, follow those protocols that were once a part of our everyday lives. I have to say some people have totally, jettisoned that one now, no longer following it. But it's important, like you said, Austin and Bolo as well, so for fans to go to Qatar and ensure that, keep themselves safe and, by extension, keep others safe as well.
Picking from Austin's words, it's about caution. No matter how free you think you can be, you still have to be very cautious, especially even our colleagues be getting to where players are and deeper. And even beyond that, like people will tell you, the players are why we are there, but the players are probably a little fraction of the people that will be attending. If everyone play their part, be cautious. If they tell you don't move here, leave the place for them. Do what you can. It's about, I don't think anybody, no matter how devilish you can be, want the World Cup to stop because of an outbreak. So everyone, caution is the most important thing. When you are cautious, by close to Christmas, December 20, we'll be talking about how beautiful the World Cup was when it comes to Christmas.
That's what we all want, 24 days to the World Cup. We can't wait for the biggest football tournament to start. Unfortunately, there's no Nigeria. I had to say that, Austin.
Oh, Tayo, you have to say that.
All right, let's go on. Still on the World Cup. The trophy is continuing its tour around the countries that we'll be featuring. That will be going to Qatar. We, of course, like I said, no Nigeria. This time around, it's landed in the land of Diego Armando Maradona, as well as Lionel Messi. There you go, it's in Argentina, and the fans came out en masse to take pictures with this trophy. I mean, this is for the fans. That's a shiny World Cup right there. Argentina will be looking to win a third World Cup, but before then, the fans will get opportunity to pose for pictures with the World Cup, and usually this particular tour of the World Cup trophy, it just has a way of making everyone know that the tournament is indeed very, very close.
Well, it just shows that we are hitting the road, we are getting there. Like you rightly said, it's not the first time they are seeing it. They've seen it over time, they've won it twice. And, well, for those that are used to ask that, how come they are not snapping picture with it like the Champions League? You cannot touch the World Cup. Only ex-winners or presidents of nation can touch the title.
You stand beside it,
you can start, exactly, that's good enough. If you think you go there and touch, you don't even bother. But we are waiting for our tour in Nigeria. This is one of the things that keep reminding people that the World Cup is getting ever closer. When it's going the tour, it's also always well planned that they know it will land in A, to land in B on this day, this time, spend how many hours, how many days, and they move. Then final day, it gets back to Qatar, then the opening ceremony kicks off and everything. So we can't wait for it to start. 24 days looks very long, but believe me,
trust me,
it's very, very close.
With the way time is flying these days.
Let me just add that this festival, fans look forward to it, where you come up close, to the World Cup. And sometimes FIFA has got, some ambassadors who are World Cup winners, to accompany the trophy to the different countries that it will visit. I remember when it came to Nigeria in 2018, it was right there at the private wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. It was a mini festival when the trophy landed there. It makes you... That's when you feel the World Cup. That's when you conclude, you admit that it has come, And unfortunately, we're not going to get that feeling. But fans in Argentina, they're enjoying it. Let's take a listen. And they love the trophy. And Argentina can't believe that they can win it again.
Well, you're still seeing pictures are coming from Argentina, where the World Cup is on its tour to the teams that have qualified for the tournament. So far, it's been to 24 countries, and it has 6 more to go before landing in Qatar for the opening ceremony of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. So there you go. Congratulations to all the teams that managed to qualify for the World Cup. Of course, we're still going to enjoy it, even though Nigeria is not going to be a part of it. Let's get on with the show. Still talking on the World Cup. Like we said earlier, it's going to be a packed World Cup. It's exciting times for football fans across the world. But there's a problem. Qatar is the smallest nation to host the World Cup, about 2.4 million people. And because of that, they're starting to look for, innovative ways to accommodate all of these fans that are coming to the country. Obviously, Qatar is going to be too small to host all these fans, over 1 million expected. Now, they're incorporating neighboring countries like Saudi Arabia as well, as the UAE as well, too. Even though it's not officially a co-hosting situation, but then these guys are all going to be a part of the World Cup.
Well,
these countries.
And the interesting part is you can even stay in desert. There are some hot and cold they want to put in the desert. It's just, there will be more fun for Qatar World Cup beyond the field. If about half of your population, like people coming into the country during the World Cup, Qatar will probably have like a 50% increase in terms of population. There is no way your economy will not grow. I don't want to, there is no way. It's like Nigeria hosting any tournament, you have about 100 million people coming in. Even if it's accommodation money alone, it will definitely help feeding and everything. And I think it's going to be a tour. Like the Russian World Cup, Austin can testify to it. Travels around different cities alone is fun for people that went to the World Cup. Some persons, even if your country is out of the tournament, to go from maybe one nation or one city in Russia to another is fun. Then imagine going to Qatar, that you can easily go from Qatar to a neighboring country, go to the desert. Remember, during the World Cup, there are 3 days. There are some days that maybe your nation is not playing and you just feel, let me relax. So they know what they want. They know what they are planning. They've been planning this for about 8 years or thereabouts. And I don't think they want anything to mess it up now. So everything is a play. If accommodation will be the problem, because it's been over a month or two that they said no more accommodation in Qatar. Yeah. And people still want to come in. So what's the best thing to do? Talk to their neighbors.
There you go. That's spot on. Saudi Arabia and the UAE look like they will be benefiting from this hosting of the World Cup.
And football has a good way, of bringing people together. So it's going to be very easy. Saudi Arabia will say, okay, you want us to join the party? We're going to join the party. So it's a good one. That was what I wanted us to listen to as Saudi Arabia fans, expectants. They want to, make this World Cup one that will be memorable. So let's listen to the fans. I love listening to fans.
Increased the number of flights from the Saudi cities to Doha, from 6 flights a week to 240 flights a week. So we we're going to have charter flights to ensure availability and accessibility. We also upgraded our roads from Riyadh and from Dammam to the borders with Qatar. We also are running charter passes from the Saudi city to the borders, and therefore, and more important, we have agreed with Qatar to have one visa. When you get a visa to visit Qatar or to visit Saudi Arabia, you can go in between the two countries without any other requirements.
So that's it. Qatar fans in Saudi Arabia, looking forward to the World Cup, and of course the officials are making preparation to ensure that happens. But in 1 minute, I'm beginning to look at the World Cup like this World Cup will really get us talking. Do you feel that way?
I think I agree. Remember in Russia, when people felt like opening match, for example, that why would you watch Russia? Russia are not a good footballing nation against Saudi Arabia. But from the first match, people were wild. Same thing with South Africa, and was in Mexico to play. So for those thinking Qatar and Ecuador, why will I watch that for opening match? I'm sure when you are done with that opening match, you want to sit down and watch the entire 64 match. For those of us that watch the 64 matches, I'm sure we will not regret anything.
That's right, Saudi Arabia, and I'm looking forward to tens of thousands of fans, and it is what it is, Tayo. Yes, Qatar is a small country. They're going to, go to their neighbors and say, look, I think we've got so much fun to share around. You guys want to help us? And yes, Saudi Arabia say, don't worry, we'll be fine. You're going to have a great, great World Cup. It's post tonight on Channels Television. We'll put a pause on the conversation. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, I'm sure there's still so much more to talk about the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. So don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight, on your award-winning, sports-loving Channels Television. We're previewing the 2022 FIFA World Cup that will take place in Qatar. It's just about 24 more days to go. And Tayo, while some countries are regretting, oh, we're not going to be at the World Cup, some are saying it's a dream come true.
The great players just didn't have the opportunity to go to the World Cup, but one player was lucky enough to, if everything goes according to plan. Joe Rodon is his name. That's the guy on your screen right there. Plays for Rennes in the French League. Plays for Wales as well. So Wales, by the way, are back at the World Cup for the first time in 64 years. And he's been talking about, how it's a dream to get the opportunity to play at the World Cup. We're going to listen to Joe Rodon right about now. When we come back, we get into the thoughts of Bolu on the chances of Wales progressing from Group B.
No, because I had the DVD of the 2002 World Cup. I used to watch with my brother a lot. That's when Brazil won it with, of course, magnificent players, and that's probably kind of where I kind of started with the World Cup. But obviously, the 2006 one, where I was a bit older and could understand, was probably the first, one I really took notice of. And yeah, it's the biggest in the world. It's the biggest tournament. It's what everyone wants to be a part of, and of course, it's a dream come true for me and everyone involved with Wales to be a part of this journey. Like, my parents and all my family were crying after the game, so I could see how much it meant to them, and I'm sure many people around Wales were as well. And yeah, to us boys, it's what we want to be doing and what we want to do for the country. We want to be a part of these elite tournaments, and from the senior players now in the national team, what they've done for the country the last 12 years as it's grown and grown and grown, and they set the foundations, and to now the young players coming in, it's a brilliant mixture, and the seniors are brilliant with them as well. So I think Wales are going in the right direction, and this is what we want to be a part of.
That's Joe Rodon right there. Tottenham defender on loan at Rennes. Is going to be playing for Wales at the World Cup. But before I talk about the chances of Wales, what they can do at the World Cup, for you, who's that player that never played at the World Cup for you, that just off the top of your head, you think about straight, I wish that I saw that guy play at the World Cup?
Well,
off the top.
I'm sorry. Interestingly, you think coming to my head has to be this African great,
George Weah.
George Weah. I think that's strange. Even AFCON, I think he played AFCON towards the end of his career. I think the last two, 96 and 98. But for senior players, you have to look at Ryan Giggs. That's why everything he did for Man United, it was just not his turn. I remember when people were doing comparison between Giggs and Gareth Bale, who has achieved more. I said the fact that Gareth Bale led that team to the World Cup is enough. You just have to rate and respect that, because you can't remember Wales and even international tournament. Remember, they were at the quarterfinals or semifinal of 2016 Euros, so I think you have to give it to. So I think off the top of my head, it has to be Ryan Giggs.
Spot on. That's what I was looking for, because we just talked about Wales. Yeah, no Wales. I mean, Ryan Giggs couldn't make it to the World Cup, but we're going to be seeing the likes of Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, and Joe Rodon.
I think, and that's good for their generation of footballers, because they can inspire upcoming players. Ryan Giggs did his beats, but unfortunately football said no as regards the World Cup. But for Aaron Ramsey, Rodon, and of course Gareth Bale, they can pass on some good legacy, as regards Wales playing at the World Cup. And they are the sort of team that you just need to have one bad draw with them and they can spoil your campaign, you know. So they're not that sort of team that you're just going to push away simply because they are Wales just coming to the World Cup. No, because the World Cup comes with a different kind of temperature. You try to feel it. It gets hot sometimes. It's just there.
It can burn you. Yeah, you can get burned.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, Bono, let's talk about the chances of Wales. They're in Group B with England, Iran, and the USA. I mean, you see on paper, it looks like they've got what it takes. We're seeing Danny Ward right at the goalkeeper for Leicester on your screen. You have to say they've got a chance to advance from this group with Wales, with Iran and the USA and England as well.
Well, as far as it sounds, I think the only team you can easily beat your chest that is better than them in that group has to be England.
Right.
And even England in recent months,
they've not been
I think Super Eagles are even better than them. They've been losing games. England scored, before their last game in the Nations League, England scored just 1 goal. And that goal was from the penalty before they scored 3 in their final game. So England themselves have not been so convincing.
Right.
And many didn't even expect Wales to qualify in their last playoff game. So I think they will beat Iran.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they can drag it out or slug it out with USA. US are not a powerhouse in terms of men's football. So
they
I
have
think
struggled
they can.
of late as well.
And interestingly for them, their last game is England. If they can beat USA in their first game, I think they will beat Iran in the second game. They are through to the knockout. So I think they have a huge chance of progressing to the knockout stage. That's the round of 16 of the World Cup based on what they have. If Nigeria was in place of Wales in a group like this, I think I'll be confident that we'll qualify for the next round. So Wales have what it takes. They have the quality. If they get back the form they've had all through qualifiers and in recent time, I think they will pull through from that group.
Fingers crossed. Okay.
See, Tayo Bolu. Yeah, Tayo Bolu is not being careful again, you know, and that's what I'm saying about the World Cup. You just never say never. Okay, France 98, we had Iran as the first game. Did we beat Iran? No. We didn't beat Iran. Then we went on to beat Bosnia, and then we lost to Argentina, but we were lucky enough to qualify to move on with 4 points. So if you look at that group, some will be quick to say it's sure for England. It's not sure for any of those teams. That is a group where anything can happen.
That's very interesting, Austin. Anyways, we'll see how Group B pans out at the World Cup. Let's leave the World Cup and talk about the Under-17 Women's World Cup. Yesterday, unfortunately, Nigeria couldn't make it to the final of the World Cup in India. They lost their semi-final match against Colombia 6-5 on penalties, but it's not exactly the end of the road for them in India. That's because they still got a bronze medal match to play. It's going to be on Sunday. That's a confirmation of the fixture for you. Nigeria will be taking on Germany in that third place match on Sunday. And it's another opportunity to avenge that opening game loss to the Germans, while the final will take place later on the same day. It's going to be between Colombia, Nigeria's conquerors, as well as the defending champions, Spain. Bolu, first of all, let's talk about that match yesterday. You were in the round, and what's your assessment of that game? Where do you think the team got it wrong, and where could they have done better?
I think one of the major challenges was probably confidence. The Colombians were more confident, they were more exposed, more experienced. About 6 of their players were in their last Under-20 World Cup. And even their captain has played about 15 games for the national team.
They've got the top scorer on the side
the top scorer, that's Caicedo. She plays for the Colombia national team.
Wow.
She's had over 15 appearances or thereabout for the national team, scoring goals. So she's more experienced, she's more exposed. And based on, I'm not sure I could count 5 passes for the girls yesterday. Remember, was it 2 weeks ago when their media officer was talking about cohesion in the midfield? That could be a problem, but again, they've tried, they've hit the work, but I would just maybe fault the coaching crew a bit. If you miss a penalty the previous game, sometimes it affects your confidence. Talking about Forlorn Shaw, I wouldn't have put her there. Now let's just wait a bit. Then if he now goes further, because I remember with Joao Mato with all the experience in the world, he said he wasn't taking penalty in the 2016 Euros. It was Ronaldo who had to motivate and encourage that if you lose for a team. But again, like they'll say, if it's not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen. They tried. Getting to semi-final alone is an African record. So hopefully they get to beat Germany. Now Colombia avenged 2 losses against Nigeria. So maybe the Flamingos can avenge their loss to Germany again. Well. Remember, Germany beat them in the opening game, so maybe they can avenge that and bring home a bronze medal.
Austin, Bolu's talked about exposure. He's talked about a bit of a tactical input as well. Do you go along with that?
To an extent, but for me, I think they were scared of taking their foot off the brakes. You know, they were too careful, and with that, they couldn't express themselves. I thought the coach just wanted them to get into the final, and that's what football does to you. They didn't score a goal, they didn't concede, but then when you get to penalties, it's a game of luxury, and it's a lottery. And for the team, coming from what they did against the United States of America, they were already drained mentally. These are young girls, you know. So what I was expecting is Coach Bankole would have said to them, go and have fun, go and express yourself, go and prove to whoever you meet in the final that you're not going to be an easy opponent in the final. You know, but they just went there and they were too careful. We didn't see them express themselves. We didn't see, you know, that growth that we're talking about, that this team can move the ball together, you know, get into positions, create scoring chances. It was drab, you know. They just wanted to see the game get to the end. And I also want to disagree with Bolu. At this level, for confidence, for support, you don't stop Folorunsho from playing, taking a penalty, because anybody can lose a penalty. So that's why I want to say it was okay. Remember that on the 20 World Cup, Mikel Obi said he wasn't going to play penalty. Penalties went round and came to him.
Exactly. Exactly. You didn't have a choice at times.
So everybody should be ready, you know, at any point in time. But it wasn't just that day. And while I want to accept that this can happen to any team, I'm just sad that they got to a point where they should have shown their quality, and we didn't see it.
Yeah, of course, we got to give credit to Colombia. Colombia really played well. I thought they were the better side, you know, in that particular game. Now, you have to say they deserve their victory. And talking about penalties, I mean, at some point, we had reluctant Nigerian players to step up and take penalties. So, I mean, like, eventually someone had to take one.
And I think everyone has to give kudos to goalkeeper, I think, of Milano. She made some beautiful saves yesterday. That
kept us in the game.
That's just putting herself out there. I don't think any scout in women's football will be looking and say, this girl is not good. If you have to sit and think, this is potential, this is talent, if you grind her well. But again, like Austin Riley said, it's penalties. We are talking about this because they lost. They lost penalties in the last game against USA as well, but they won the game. Maybe Daffy had scored, we probably wouldn't be thinking. But again, it happens. I remember Mourinho saying his worst game was the binder. His best penalty takers missed penalty. Ramos, Ronaldo, Kaká. So it happens in football. So let's hope they give their best against Germany and bring up the bronze medal.
All right, that's what we're hoping for on the show. The Flamingos chin up, girls. The tournament, it's not over. Get a job done. Get a bronze against Germany in Mumbai on Sunday. Wish you all the best in that one. Of course, I will come back tomorrow and give you a comprehensive preview of that game. Let's get on with the show. Let's leave the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup. We're still talking football, but this time around, let's go to the UEFA Champions League, where, like Bolu said, we had so much drama yesterday. But we're going to be focusing on the drama at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Austin, I know you couldn't make it to that stadium to watch that incredible match between Spurs and Sporting. It ended 1-1, but Tottenham thought they had won the game with the last kick of the game. But VAR said, not too fast, guys, relax. It's not a goal, offside. And since that game, Antonio Conte has absolutely lost it in his presser. I think we should listen to Antonio Conte first of all before Austin and Bolu react to what the Spurs manager has had to say following that loss. Okay, it feels like a loss, but it was a draw against Sporting Lisbon. Let's get the post-match thoughts now of Antonio Conte.
There are moments that maybe you can be a bit intelligent to understand. You have just disallowed a regular goal because the goal was regular, but because the ball is in front of Kane. I think that we are not so lucky with the VR, but I think that they create a big damage. I'd like to see if this type of decision, you can take this type of decision with a top team. In an important game. I'd like to see if the VR is so brave to take this decision. I repeat, unfair decision, because the ball is in front of Kane. Sorry, but I'm really upset, because sometimes you can accept the situation. Sometimes I think that is not good, because I don't see honesty in this type of situation, and I hope the club to understand this, and then to in the right situation also to speak with the people that they have to speak, because otherwise there is only the manager to speak. And yeah, I think the club has to be strong. And because, I repeat, this situation creates a big damage.
Strong words from Antonio Conte. Austin, I'm going to pick out a couple of words now. He's talked about dishonesty. He's talked about damage to the game. I mean, it's understandable. It was a very dramatic ending to that game for Spurs against Sporting Lisbon. But then you have to say Antonio Conte has got to be very careful with some of the things he said yesterday, because we need to situate things properly. The goal that was disallowed, was it rightly disallowed or not? Of course it was. VAR has done its job.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was not a goal. And look, this debate will continue. And what Conte has just shown is that we're human. And what everyone is complaining is that VAR will take out the human element of football, and then it will be drab, because right there on the touchline and at that minute of the game where you think that it's done and dusted, and then you're not worried, you're through to the round of 16, and then VAR says no. See, this is the problem. And I was right there at the press. I'll never forget when Pierluigi Collina was addressing the media on the VAR. He said, watch it, guys. When it goes well for Team A, it won't be a problem. When it doesn't go well for them, they will get this debate. And that's what has been the story of the VAR. VAR has come to correct those things that the referee couldn't see at the first instance. So coaches need to calm down. Yes, I know this game got to a point where you don't expect this sort of decision to stop your win. But it is what it is. If it's not a goal, it's not a goal. And now referees have got the video assistance. People must know that it assists the referee's decision. And in some cases, if the referee goes to the VAR and is convinced of the decision he took, he stays by his decision. I want to say it, guys. So coaches must calm down and understand that it is what it is. And I like what the referee did. He was totally in control. And so take your red card. Take
your red card. That's for the road.
So that's it.
All right, Bolu. Conte also said something about, we've got to trust the VAR, the system, the technology itself. He also said something that was very instructive during that presser. I was really fuming. It was palpable. I could feel it all the way from Niger. He said, would the VAR have made that decision, even though it's correct, against a top side? What does he mean by that?
The question is Tottenham a top side?
That's what he's trying to say.
I think, let me pick for what Austin said. I think we need to know what VAR means. People just think VAR is a referee instructor or something. No, it is not. I've seen VAR, like Austin asked, even especially in La Liga, I've seen referees telling VAR no. The referee still has the final say. I know that many countries, especially in the Premier League, maybe Conte is used to the controversy of the Premier League. The truth is, if you follow the VAR in the Champions League especially, if you follow the VAR in some other leagues aside England, you will probably give like 95% kudos to the VAR. It gives almost every correct predictions, and it's in England that they will blow for handball today, draw problems with offside and all those things. But yesterday's call, was it harsh? Yes. Was it close? Yes. Was it maybe bad for Spurs? But like Austin said, Spurs were angry, but say that to Sporting. Sporting were celebrating the call, so it was the right call. He's talking about them. We see, look at Real Madrid in La Liga just 2 weeks ago, thereabout. They took out 3 goals from Real Madrid. If you say Spurs are not a top side, Real Madrid not a top side, the rule is the rule. It may be harsh, but it's the rule, like the handball rule. You can say it was not intentional. If it touches you and score, VAR, you take it out. If it works for your team, the VAR is lovely. If it's against you, it's unfair. That's the human factor. And Austin said, VAR will take out the human factor.
All right, so Antonio Conte and Spurs, it's not exactly the end of the road. All they have to do now is go to Marseille on the final match day and get a draw. That's a nod. That should suffice for them to advance into the round of 16. They're going to do that. They're going to have to do that without Antonio Conte, because he will be serving a 1-match ban. Could be more as well, too, or can be more, depending on what's in the referee's report. So let's talk about the teams that are through to the round of 16 with a game to spare. Starting with Bayern Munich. Bayern, they've done the job. They are through to the round of 16. Benfica, Chelsea, Club Brugge. Dortmund, Inter Milan, Liverpool, Manchester City, Napoli, Paris Saint-Germain, Porto, as well as Real Madrid. So these are the teams that have advanced into the round of 16. That's 12 teams right there. So we're going to be finding out the remaining 4 on the final match day. Any surprises for you here?
Well, obviously it has to be Club Brugge, because in the group that had Atletico Madrid, in the group that has Bayer Leverkusen, in the group that has Porto, you would beat your chest that they will probably be the whipping boys. But they won their first 3 games without any stress. Beating Porto 4-0 away from home, even though they got it back in the second leg. But they did their job in the first 4 games, and even if they lose their last game, their last 2, they were through already. And they did the needful. And Club Brugge, a big surprise. When we saw the draws, you can easily beat your chest that Atletico will be the first to qualify in that group. They start thinking maybe Porto or the Bayer Leverkusen. But Club Brugge qualified first in that group. That speaks its volume. And for Inter Milan, maybe you can say you expect a Barcelona and Bayern Munich to go through. But Inter Milan did what they needed to do against, because we knew everybody will walk through Victoria Pilsen. It will now be the result basically between Inter Milan and Barcelona. And the Italians did what they needed to do. Win at Camp Nou, San Siro. You can call it narrow, you can call it luck. And they picked a draw at Camp Nou, and here they are in the second round. Barcelona are going to where they were last season again. Maybe this time they could find a way to win. But I think this just shows that football, as predictable as it can be, it is very, very unpredictable. Chelsea lost their first game against Dinamo, and here they are. They've qualified first among all of them in the group. If you snooze in football, you will definitely lose.
Snooze and you lose. You got to do everything to ensure that doesn't happen. That's not your situation. Austin Bolus talked about Barcelona, and let's just go there. Barcelona not only crashed out at the group stage, they also went with a whimper, because they lost that game right there at the Camp Nou against Bayern Munich now, and that's now 6 straight losses for Barca against Bayern, conceding 22 goals and scoring just 4. I mean, that's very, very embarrassing for a massive club like Barcelona. Where did they go from there?
Tough. 4 points tie off. Just 4 points from 5. This is Barcelona. Like, it's difficult to give this sort of analysis. You're going to hear me say a lot of mannerisms, a lot of because just as Xavi, I can't explain what's really going on with Barcelona. You know, this is a team that should command respect, but everything is just going wrong for this team. In fact, people are saying that coming to the Europa that they'll struggle some more. So I told you, I'm also struggling to talk about it, because you had just one chance. Don't lose against Bayern Munich and keep maybe hopes alive. And it didn't just happen, you know. I don't know how they're going to turn their season around, because right now the team is deflated, because these stats will keep staring at you in the face, you know. And pundits such as Bolo and Tayo Salam will always remind you, talk about it. So it's very difficult for this team to move on. But let's see. It's certainly up to them to see if they can pick themselves back up when they come to the Europa League.
We'll see how they fare in that Europa League second-tier competition in Europe. Not the coach, the presidents of Barca come out to once again give Xavi votes of confidence. They spent a lot of money in the summer, 150 million euros. They bought Lewandowski, they bought Rafinha. A lot of players, because they wanted to go deep in the competition, but the journey is over after the very first round, and they will need to pick up the pieces of the season now.
Well, for people even thinking about them having average players, I disagree with that. Barcelona have good quality players, maybe not all world-class stars in the team, but if you're even talking about world-class, you have to call their goalkeeper Ter Stegen. Still talk about Lewandowski. It's just not working. Then you have to look at, maybe it could be the coaching. Somehow, remember, they thought they could think maybe we've seen Pep Guardiola do it, we've seen Zinedine Zidane do that and all, but when presidents and club owners start giving votes of confidence, sometimes I'm scared it's knocking at the door, because they know it is coming. The truth is, in the end, Xavi is a club legend and everything, but it is a club first before a legend. Remember, Ronald Koeman was also a club legend for Barcelona, but he also got the stick when they felt the relationship was not working anymore. Let's see how they defend Europa League. Remember last season, it was Xavi that had the chance to lead them to a win, but he couldn't against Benfica, and they got to the Europa League. Now, the only assignment they needed to do was beat Inter Milan at Camp Nou. Yeah, they probably would have still been in contention and even left despite losing to Bayern Munich, but they couldn't win that game, and now they're in Europa again. And I just want to see Man United Barcelona. I want to say it's a young derby. And remember Europa League, no round of 32. If you finish top, you move to round of 16. If you finish second, you play those drop-in from the UEFA Champions League. So let's see if they just need to gather themselves. But they have a very good form in the La Liga. They've conceded in only 2 games. 1 and 3 against Barcelona, against Real Madrid in the Clasico. But now it's not the same thing. So let's see whether they will bounce back or Xavi may just start having problems with the board. All
right, fingers crossed. We'll see how that pans out. We're going to mention Chelsea quickly as well, too. After getting 1 point from their opening 2 games, they also, of course, advanced into the round of 16 with a game to spare. Fantastic job that the coach is doing right there. Graham Potter, that's his name, is unbeaten in 9 games now as the head coach of the Blues. Let's give you updates coming from the UEFA Europa League. Some of the games that were concluded before we came on air. FC Zurich, they defeated Bodo Glimt by 2-1. PSV ended the run of the Arsenal 2-0. And there Luke de Jong coming off the bench to condemn the Gunners to their first loss of the competition. So that means the battle for the top spots in that group will go down to the final match day. Elsewhere, you saw Larnaca and Dynamo Kiev are playing a 3-3 draw. It also ended 3-3 between Fenerbahce and Rennes. So there you go. More results are coming from the UEFA Europa League. Real Betis with a 1-0 win over Ludogorets. They've advanced into the next round as well too. There's also victories for Union Berlin, as well as Lazio over FC Midtjylland. So those are your results for you in the UEFA Europa League. The other games are just concluding as the show is still going on, and of course tomorrow we'll be taking a look at some of those results before the show is over. Arsenal, they went to PSG and they lost.
Now they must win their last game. It's a must, because if they draw and for whatever reason PSG win, that means Arsenal will finish second. Although it's football, it just brings back reality that they are doing so well this season, but they are not there yet. You just have to get your act together. And the interesting thing, the 2 games are ended 3-3, or in the same group. And those 2 games, as at 82nd minute, it was still 3-1.
Wow.
And the 2 games ended 3-3. It just shows the beauty of football. And for United, they are leading 3-0. And guess who got the 3rd goal? Cristiano Ronaldo.
You don't need to
well,
say.
The beef is just on the side again. Probably football is back. So it's what you get from football. Europa League is now bringing traction, especially the teams that will draw from the Champions League. If you don't like the Europa League, this season at least, you will definitely follow the
Definitely. Austin, I'll come over to you now. Jose Mourinho said he's waiting for the big sharks, or the failed sharks of the UEFA Champions League in the Europa League.
That's Jose. Jose must find a way to, bring, glamour into whatever he's involved with, and that's why we love him, So yeah, those big names, welcome. We thought you escaped, but now you're back, so it should be fun when teams like Barcelona and all those other big guys, drop to the Europa League to really get us talking. But shout out to Manchester United, for getting the job done against FC Sheriff. And now it seems all is well with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Is it really?
Yeah, maybe, maybe. And, there's just something about, testing the waters with the media. If things aren't going well, you score a goal. Some people will forget about it now and start talking about the goal, and everybody would be just fine, and then we'll move on. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yes.
It's been fun doing this with you guys. Sports Tonight on Channels Television in London. I'm Austin Okonakwan. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Yeah, appreciate your time, Bolu. Thanks for coming.
It's good to be again. Another reminder, the World Cup is just 24 days from now.
Indeed. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you all for watching as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. I am Tayo Salam.